It's over! Arsenal are Premier League champions!
You did it. Champions go on when others stop. This is your time. Now, go on and enjoy every moment.
That's the end of the game. City fall at the penultimate hurdle. Bournemouth are in Europe. The Gunners are in heaven. Arsenal are champions for the first time in 22 years.
Arsenal! This is what it is. This is what the weight is. The fact that they've had to endure so many years of anguish.
Last time Arsenal won, I wasn't even fertilised. I'm 21 years of age. Listen, the greatest day of my life. I've supported this club since nappies. Nappies.
22 years we've been waiting for this. Look at the streets of London. No club can do it like this. No club.
After 22 years of gloom, it's about to go boom! The Arsenal cannon fires again! "22 years of wait. Arsenal roar like it's 2004.
After 22 years, Arsenal are Premier League champions. If you've been an Arsenal fan for as long as I have, you've watched this club go through every emotion imaginable. From Invincibles, the greatest team English football has ever seen, to a stepping stone club, a banter club, and the laughingstock of the Premier League. And now finally, we are back where we belong, champions of England. The red and white ribbons on that trophy, man, I never thought I'd see them again in my lifetime. This documentary is deeply personal to me. I've supported Arsenal my whole life, and this club has shaped who I am. Without Arsenal, I genuinely wouldn't be the person I am today. So this documentary I'm making is my personal love letter to this club. Over the next hour or so, I'm going to take you guys through every fixture, every setback, every scandal, and every turning point of this historic title win. I spent 3 months putting this together. I want you guys to know every detail of every match and to feel every emotion again, which I felt throughout this season. Because this season, we deserved nothing less. Now, as we get into it, if you're an Arsenal fan and if this title means something to you, please leave a like on this video, hype this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. 3 months went into this, and I want every Gunner to see it. Also, comment your favorite memory from this season, and your most painful one too. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy Arsenal's story. Our story. Before we talk about the success of the 2025-26 season, we need to briefly look back at 2024-25. That season gave Arsenal some positive highs. We knocked out Real Madrid with the Declan Twice free kicks. We also destroyed Man City 5-1 with our two breakout academy stars, Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly, both getting on the score sheet. But the biggest positive from that season was seeing those two youngsters fully break into the first team. Now, let's talk about these low points. Raheem Sterling. Every aspect of that transfer was wrong. It is the literal definition of a panic buy. I can see that the idea was simple. Sterling would rotate with Saka on the wing, and somehow Mikel Arteta could revive him the same way he revived Havertz and save him from Chelsea. But the problem was, even Arsenal sporting director at the time, Edu Gaspar, admitted that he didn't plan on signing Sterling.
And you've all worked very hard on getting the deal done for Raheem Sterling. Can you tell us what you think he will bring to the squad?
Well, to be fair, we never planned really to sign him when we started transfer window, yeah? Just to be very transparent.
The 2024-25 season also completely exposed Arsenal's lack of squad depth and squad balance. When both Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus got injured, we were forced to turn Mikel Merino into a striker. Our lack of squad depth was so bad that at some point we played this squad in the Champions League. Just look at this. There are 4 left backs in the starting 11. Over a third of the starting 11 has played left back. Kieran Tierney is literally a left winger in this game. If that isn't an indicator that your squad lacks balance, I don't know what is. Arsenal ended the season finishing second behind Liverpool, who pretty much ran away with the league. But by the end of the season, the problems were obvious. Number 1, we desperately needed a striker. Number 2, we desperately needed a right winger to rotate with Saka to manage his minutes. That was, at the very least, better than Sterling. Number 3, we needed to find a replacement for Thomas Diddy Partey because his contract was ending and he was literally fighting an assault charge. And lastly, number 4, we needed to address the lack of balance within this team because we literally had 6 players capable of playing left back. That summer, Edu Gaspar left Arsenal to become the global head of football at Nottingham Forest, and Arsenal brought in Andrea Berta as the new sporting director for the 2025-26 season. And now we look at the transfers he made. Andrea Berta's transfer policy seemed to prioritize addressing the squad balance issues before recruiting additions. Let's start with the players that we let go for free in June. Kieran Tierney returned to Celtic after his contract expired, and this makes sense for Tierney. He's a Scottish player, he's going back to Scotland. Jorginho joined Flamengo after his contract expired, and Jorginho as a player at Arsenal, he was actually really good. Really good player, cannot complain about him. When he came into the midfield, he did a good job. But regarding his nationality, I cannot tell if this brother is Brazilian or Italian. He might play for Italy in the Euros, but he just seems so culturally Brazilian that I just cannot tell if he's Brazilian or Italian. And then finally, Thomas Diddy Partey went to Villarreal for free because his contract expired. I don't know why Villarreal bought him because he's kind of fighting that weird case.
And Baka got a weird case, why is he around?
Now the loan players made their departure, starting with Raheem Sterling going back to Chelsea. This was probably the worst loan transfer ever. Hopefully Arsenal stop helping Chelsea financially by buying their useless players, right? We all learned our lesson from Sterling at this point, right guys? Right? Neto also returns to Bournemouth after his loan. Now this wasn't the worst loan, but it definitely was the most useless loan of all time. Neto only played 90 minutes the entire season, and the one game which he played was when Arsenal beat Girona 2-1 in the group stages of the Champions League. Ironically, Sterling missed a penalty in that game. But regarding Neto's appearances, if you check Transfermarkt, this guy wasn't injured, he wasn't ill, he didn't have any family issues, nothing. He was fully fit the entire season, sitting on the bench, probably earning over £50,000 a week, and only played 1 match. Honestly, I wish I had his job. And now the transfers that June ended with was Nuno Tavares went to Lazio for £4.2 million. I always felt like Tavares had so much potential because in career mode I used to turn him into a broken left back, probably like the best left back in the world on FIFA. But realistically, he never got into Arteta's good books after that 2022 FA Cup incident where he got subbed off in the first half. And then Marquinhos left and he went to Cruzeiro for £2.5 million. Edu genuinely bought this guy just because he's Brazilian. He never really got a chance in the squad, but I guess it's fair to say he just wasn't good enough. Maybe he's just a mid player. Now we get into July and Andrea Berta's first signing was Kepa Arrizabalaga from Chelsea for £5 million. Wow, another Chelsea player, guys.
He's done it! That is a little bastard!
Now, I don't like this transfer, but at the same time, I don't hate this transfer. I don't like it because once again, Arsenal are helping Chelsea out financially. After Willian, David Luiz and Raheem Sterling, you would think that this club would get tired of buying Chelsea flops, but apparently not. Hopefully Kepa is the last one though, guys. Like after Sterling and Kepa, hopefully we are done, right? But to get back to this transfer, it kinda makes sense. You're buying a goalkeeper in his 30s, which is basically the prime age for a keeper. He's Premier League proven and he has won major trophies, so logically, I get it. I just don't like it because it's Kepa. I wasn't even planning on rating these transfers, but if I had to rate this one, it would be a 5 out of 10. It's not good, it's not terrible. Yeah, the next one was Arsenal bought Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad for £60 million. This transfer is probably a 9 out of 10. He perfectly replaces Thomas Partey. I watched him play for Spain during the Euros, he even played in the final, and he was probably the best CDM available for Arteta's system. Also, with this transfer, Arsenal basically bought Real Sociedad's entire midfield. The next transfer was Christian Norgard from Brentford for £12 million. Now for me personally at the time, this transfer felt like a 9 out of 10 transfer, but for this video I'm going to say it's an 8 out of 10. Norgard was clearly brought in as a rotation option replacing Jorginho. He's Premier League proven, he's Brentford's captain, and he's a Danish international. What's not to like? The transfer just made perfect sense. And then we have that transfer. Arsenal bought Noni Madueke from Chelsea for £52 million. I don't want hindsight to influence my opinion of this transfer, but at the time, I genuinely thought this was a 1 out of 10 signing. I understood the idea, bringing in a rotation for Saka on the right wing, but I hated this transfer for many reasons. Number one, we are once again helping Chelsea financially, and Chelsea are supposed to be our rivals. Number two, he wasn't even the best right winger available on the market. Bayern Munich bought Olise for less. Man City bought Turkey for less. Tottenham bought Mohamed Kudus for a similar price. So why go for Madueke? Fans literally made a petition to stop this transfer and it got over 5,000 signatures. At this point in the window, it felt like Arsenal were addressing every squad issue except for the biggest one. We desperately needed a striker. Now at this point in the transfer window, with the whole Madueke fiasco and the fact that the fans were literally crying for a striker, Andrea Berta opted to sign Christian Mosquera from Valencia for £17 million. Another 5 out of 10 transfer, maybe 6 out of 10 transfer. Look guys, I know he turned out to be a great signing eventually, but at the time, he was basically viewed as a Saliba backup and someone who would rotate at right back. The problem was, and this is why I rate this transfer so low at the time, is that we desperately needed a striker. And at this point in the transfer window, Andrea Berta signed a goalkeeper, 2 CDMs, Madueke, and a centre-back. But where was the striker? Fans were losing patience. Nobody was feeling optimistic about winning the league, because how could Arteta believe we could win the league if we kept signing these Chelsea rejects? And then it happened.
Aí vai o Sporting outra vez, movimento de Gyökeres, pode ir para o primeiro pocket pelo Sporting. Gyökeres, Gyökeres, gol! Aí está o primeiro! É o primeiro pocket! 1, 2, 3, 4 de Gyökeres! Ao minuto 70, aí está o número do flanco para o 4-1 em Alba. Já são 4 de Gyökeres, cumprimentado por todos os jogadores.
We signed Victor Gyökeres, the Edit King from Sporting Lisbon for £64 million. There was a huge debate online on which striker Arsenal was going to buy at the time. Was it going to be Victor Gyökeres or the younger, faster and taller Benjamin Šeško? But the club chose Gyökeres, and honestly, it made sense. He was the best striker on the market, he was 27 years old, coming off a season with over 50 goals, and he even won the Gerd Müller trophy. Not at the time, but I mean he was going to win that trophy. This basically confirmed that he was the best striker in the world at the time. The club chose for the more experienced striker who could immediately slot into the first team and help fight for titles instead of Šeško, who probably still needed time to adapt. And when you're chasing trophies, there is no time to adapt. So for me, this transfer was a 10 out of 10. He was the best striker available on the market, he has a signature celebration, elite goal scoring records, and he genuinely looked like the perfect solution for Arsenal's striker problem. Gyökeres was unveiled as an Arsenal player on the 27th of July 2025 and ended up being the final signing of July. And at that point, me and a lot of other Arsenal fans genuinely thought the transfer window was over. The squad issues looked like they had been fixed. Arsenal had already spent over £200 million, but we had no idea what August had in store. Real quick, before I tell you about all the events which happened in the month of August, I need to tell you about all the drama that occurred regarding the transfer of Victor Gyökeres, because this transfer was not simple, and I need to talk about this transfer to highlight a certain aspect of this player's personality. So Gyökeres had a €100 million release clause in his contract, but reports widely claimed that he had a gentleman's agreement with Sporting that he could leave in the summer of 2025 for around €70 million. There was interest from Arsenal as well as Manchester United due to his old boss Ruben Amorim becoming the manager, and Juventus were interested as well, but Gyökeres made it very clear that Arsenal was the only club he wanted. So Arsenal made a bid in late June for 60 million euros plus 10 million euros add-ons to Sporting that was rejected. Gyökeres felt like this bid matched the agreement he had with the Sporting president Federico Varandas, but the Sporting president denied much about this agreement, publicly stating, "I can guarantee that Victor Gyökeres will not leave for 60 million euros plus 10 million euros add-ons because I never promised that." Gyökeres was reportedly furious and he felt betrayed. It was at this point he told the president that he would never play for Sporting again. Gyökeres didn't show up for training and he received a fine for about 350,000 euros as punishment from Sporting. So it seems like the typical story we're used to. These are the things which a player does to try to force a transfer. But what I love about this transfer and this player personally is everything he sacrificed in order to make the move to Arsenal happen. Gyökeres was willing to give up 2 million euros of his own salary at Arsenal to be redirected into the transfer fee for Sporting. This man was willing to give up money to make his dream move. Mbappe could never. And in July 2025, Portuguese outlet TV Guia reported that Gyökeres had split from his girlfriend, the Portuguese actress Ines Aguiar, because she wanted him to stay in Portugal, but Gyökeres had his mind set on playing for the Arsenal. This man was even willing to give up his girlfriend just to play for the Gunners. With Sporting now taking notice of how adamant Gyökeres was to join Arsenal, they decided to have negotiations with us. But the problems with the negotiation was mostly around the structure of the payment. Arsenal made an initial bid of 60 million euros plus 10 million euros add-ons rejected. Then they made a follow-up bid of 65 million euros plus 15 million euros add-ons, but instead Sporting wanted 70 million guaranteed with 10 million add-ons. There was another hold-up based on the structure of the add-ons. Arsenal wanted the add-ons to be hard to trigger, you know, your Ballon d'Or clauses, stuff like that if he scores 50 goals in a season, but Sporting wanted them easy, you know, based on appearances, goals and assists, and you know, Champions League qualification, something which is very easy to achieve for Arsenal. But eventually Arsenal and Sporting found middle ground and a final deal for about 63.5 million euros fixed with 10 million euros add-ons was agreed. This equated to 73.5 million euros, and this is the 64 million pounds which I previously mentioned. I don't know what agreement they came on regarding the add-ons, but hey, Sporting were happy with that agreement regarding the add-ons. Maybe Arsenal said, okay, maybe not a Ballon d'Or, but if he scores 40 goals, you know, I don't know what middle ground they found regarding those add-ons. But the reason why I felt like I needed to cover this whole transfer saga was to emphasize how much Gyökeres wanted to join Arsenal. I have never seen anyone in my life or anyone in football offer up part of their wages to make a transfer happen. So that's why I like this player so much, because this is the type of player who would die for the badge. So even if Gyökeres is garbage at times, you know, a subtle foreshadowing, I'll always appreciate the sacrifices he made to join this team. Alright, now for real, let's talk about everything which occurred at Arsenal during the month of August. Regarding Arsenal's pre-season Singapore tour, Arsenal played their first game against AC Milan. Arsenal won this game 1-0 due to Bukayo Saka, and in this game Arteta started Norgard before eventually subbing him off for Zubimendi. Nwaneri also made a start, and the other new signing Kepa eventually made a cameo. We also saw a brief glimpse of these two 15-year-olds named Max Daumann and Marley Salmon, and they looked rather exciting. This game didn't give Arsenal fans anything to be optimistic about for the season, but it's pre-season, so no one really takes these games seriously. In our next pre-season match, we beat Newcastle 3-2. This was due to an Alex Murphy owned goal, a Mikel Merino goal, and a penalty from Martin Odegaard. Max Daumann won Arsenal the penalty and Odegaard converted it. There wasn't anything relatively exciting about this game except for Max Daumann. Aside from the decent performance from Max Daumann, this game was difficult for Arsenal to win. And you know, as a fan, you'd love to see your team blow other teams out of the water, but it's a narrow win against AC Milan, it's a narrow win against Newcastle, it's pre-season, we'll take those. On the 31st of July, Arsenal played against Spurs and we lost in Hong Kong 1-0. This was the first ever North London derby outside of the UK. Gyökeres and Mosquera made their debuts as subs, and Trossard came off with a little bit of an injury scare. It was a minor groin tweak and it wasn't anything serious. This game was a little concerning for us Arsenal fans because it seemed like our attack wasn't clicking, and it's never nice to lose against Spurs no matter the competition. The funny thing about this match was that after the game, Richarlison posted himself with the Man of the Match award and he tagged Gabriel in the post. Gabriel clapped back at Richarlison by posting 3 of his own Man of the Match awards he won in the Premier League against Spurs in real North London derbies. On the 6th of August, Arsenal played a friendly against Villarreal at the Emirates Stadium and we lost 3-2, with Odegaard scoring a penalty and Norgard scoring his first unofficial goal for Arsenal, with Gyökeres starting his first match for Arsenal. The 15-year-old Max Daumann won the penalty that Odegaard scored, and this was Max Daumann's first appearance for the Arsenal first team at the Emirates. This loss felt bitter because we were at home and our ex-player Pepe scored against us, and this team looked completely stale. So this match, even though I do know it's a preseason, losing in the preseason doesn't matter, it doesn't make you feel optimistic about the season when you know that your team can be beaten. On the 8th of August, Ethan Nwaneri signed a new 5-year deal at Arsenal, extending his contract until 2030. And after that, we had our last preseason game, which was played on the 9th of August, which was for the Emirates Cup against Athletic Bilbao. This was our best performance in the preseason. Zubimendi crossed for Gyökeres to head in his first Arsenal goal, Saka finished after a Martinelli assist, and Havertz scored a brilliant solo strike. Arsenal won the Emirates Cup and Zubimendi was the player of the match. Nico Williams also started this game, and as you guys know, he was a winger who was heavily linked with Arsenal and Barcelona. Actually, a few major teams were after him after his performances in the Euros, but since he signed that new contract with Bilbao, his performances have been mid at best. I'm glad we didn't sign him, but if we did, surely he'd be better than Madueke, right? Now we fast forward to the Premier League's first game, which was on the 17th of August, game week 1, Manchester United versus Arsenal, and Arsenal beat Man United 1-0 at Old Trafford. Ricardo Calafiori scored the match's only goal with a close-range header after converting Declan Rice's corner against Manchester United's goalkeeper Altay Bayindr. Even though Arsenal won this game, we played absolutely rubbish, and we faced a plethora of shots from Man United. Our worst player this game was Gyökeres, who had absolutely 0 shots on goal. I think he played so badly because this team isn't used to playing with a striker like him yet, but trust me, we are in for a long season of him looking bad due to his lack of football ability. But, just a little bit of a spoiler, it does get better, but honestly speaking, this guy looks terrible when he's on the ball. Fast forward to the 20th of August and Arsenal reported that Havertz had suffered a knee injury. At the time, the exact severity was still being assessed, but later reports confirmed that he would need to undergo minor knee surgery. This injury was believed to have happened during Arsenal's 1-0 win over Manchester United a few days earlier. And now suddenly, Arsenal were down an attacking midfielder after the first game of the season. On the 22nd of August, Arsenal had an outgoing and it was Karl Hein, our goalkeeper, who was loaned out to Werder Bremen for a season-long loan. But there was something interesting going on in the league regarding this one player named Eberechi Eze. After winning Crystal Palace their first ever FA Cup and Community Shield, Eze was ready to take the next step in his career, and it was very likely he was going to be joining Tottenham. The problem with joining Spurs was that even though it would seem like a step forward in his career, Eze has always been an Arsenal fan. So before he could agree the terms presented to him by Tottenham, he apparently made a last-minute phone call to Mikel Arteta. And then it happened. On the 23rd of August, Arsenal signed Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace. This was our 7th signing of the summer. He was a former academy graduate, and he rejoined on a permanent deal with an initial fee of £60 million plus £7.5 million add-ons. This deal was a 10 out of 10. We lost Havertz through injury and we re-signed a player who would do anything for Arsenal. What's not to like about this deal? We also hijacked it from Spurs. This deal was a 10 out of 10. We're getting a Premier League proven attacking midfielder, an England international, a player who has won trophies for Crystal Palace. It was just a 10 out of 10 and he literally wears 10 and he's going to play in number 10. This transfer was perfect. Eze was unveiled at the Emirates Stadium before our second match of the Premier League against Leeds. Arsenal ended up winning this game 5-0 with a goal from Saka, 2 goals from Timber and 2 goals from Gyökeres. Gyökeres' second goal was a penalty that was won for him by the 15-year-old Max Daumann. That kid has now won this team like 3 penalties at this point. We move on to the 28th of August and we had our Champions League phase draw. The only big teams we were going to face were Bayern Munich, Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid. Just keep those names in mind. Then on the 31st of August, match day 3, Arsenal played against Liverpool at Anfield and Arsenal lost to Liverpool 1-0. Dominic Szoboszlai scored an insane free kick that prime Neuer and prime Iker Casillas wouldn't be able to save. Both teams actually played garbage, but that Szoboszlai free kick was the deciding goal that gave Liverpool the win. After game week 3, Arsenal were sitting tied third with 6 points and Liverpool were first with a 100% win record at this point. Now we go to the 1st of September, which was deadline day, completing Arsenal's August transfer window. Arsenal signed Piero Hincapié from Bayer Leverkusen on a season-long loan with an option to buy for £45 million. My initial reaction to this transfer was that we didn't need him because we already had Kiwior and Calafiori and Miles Lewis-Kelly who can play in those positions. But hey man, I know Hincapié from playing FIFA career mode and he always ended up becoming a crazy good player. He always had crazy good potential on FIFA career mode. So honestly speaking, a hyped young defender and was signing him on a season-long loan with an option to buy, I'd say that's an 8 out of 10 transfer. We didn't really need him, but he's an upgrade. He can be a Gabriel replacement and he can play left back. He's a really top quality player who went invincible with Bayer Leverkusen. What's not to like about this transfer? And now the next transfer makes me understand the reasoning why we needed to sign Piero Hincapié, because Jakub Kiwior ended up going to Porto for a season-long loan with an obligation to buy for £24 million. Now this transfer was a bit disappointing for me personally because Kiwior was such a solid defender and he played well against Real Madrid. He was facing Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Bellingham and Rodrigo in the Champions League. And he had a solid performance against all those world-class attackers. A player of his ability could easily be sold for £40 to £50 million, but Arsenal have a terrible reputation when it comes to selling players. The most we have ever made off a player sale was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain when he joined Liverpool for £35 million in 2017, and we haven't had a sale larger than that ever in our history. Next, Albert Sambi Lokonga was permanently sold to Hamburger SV for reportedly a fee of £2.5 million. You know, this kid, he never had a chance and he never impressed while he was out on loan. He's just mid, honestly. Fabio Vieira ended up joining Lokonga at Hamburg, but Fabio Vieira joined on a season-long loan. I wonder what Vieira is going to do when he rejoins this team in 2027. Zinchenko also got a last-minute season-long loan to Nottingham Forest. He was initially supposed to go to Marseille, but the deal fell through. But hey, at the last minute, Forest came through and they met the deadline and they quickly agreed personal terms. And Arsenal's last outgoing on deadline day was Reiss Nelson joining Brentford on a loan. With all of these signings being concluded, Arsenal now officially had the best squad depth in the league, with us being able to play these two teams who are capable of finishing in Champions League positions. If you ask me about this transfer window personally, I feel like it was a 10 out of 10 because all of the major issues from the previous season had been addressed. Our team's initial problem was that we had too many left backs and our squad lacked balance, but now, going into the new season, we have perfect balance. And our team was desperate for a new striker and we signed Victor Gyökeres. At the end of August, the team was now officially complete and ready to take on the league. Now, let's look at all the events of September. Let's take a look at all the events which occurred in September. After deadline day and Arsenal's defeat to Liverpool, there was an international break at the beginning of September. During this international break, Martin Odegaard suffered an injury and was expected to be sidelined for roughly 8 weeks. I forgot to mention this, but Bukayo Saka also suffered a hamstring injury in August during our 5-0 win against Leeds and was expected to have recovered by the end of September. So we saw a lot of Madueke appearances, and you know what, Madueke was actually decent. After this international break, Ange Postecoglou took the Nottingham Forest job ahead of their upcoming match against Arsenal on the 13th of September. This is not a game an ex-Tottenham manager would want as their first game at their new job. And with that being said, Arsenal won this game comfortably 3-0 with Zubimendi scoring a brace and Gyökeres getting himself a goal. On the 16th of September, we defeated Athletic Bilbao 2-0 with goals from Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli. This was our first game of the UEFA Champions League. You know what, this game was just a defensive masterclass and we were just far too disciplined for our opposition. Next, it was the big one, against the oil merchants Man City on the 21st of September. And in case people forgot, Man City still have those 115 charges looming over their heads, but people seem to refuse to address that. In this match, Erling Haaland scored an early goal, and afterwards Man City opted to play something I've never seen them play before, and that was a low block. I have never seen Pep Guardiola play a low block in my life. This was the first time he tried to implement haram football against haram football's greatest prodigy. And because of this, Gabriel Martinelli was able to snatch a late equalizer to get Arsenal a point in this match. I still have no idea why Pep opted to play this tactic. Maybe Guardiola had PTSD after we hammered him 5-1 in the previous season. During this match, we did see Saka return from an injury, but unfortunately we lost Noni Madueke with a knee issue. So Saka didn't get much time to recover since that Leeds game in August, but it was good to see him back. Next, on the 24th of September, we saw Arsenal beat Port Vale 2-0 in the Carabao Cup, with Eze scoring his first Arsenal goal and another goal coming from Leandro Trossard. This match was not a straightforward win. Port Vale really played well, but Arsenal just won this game because we were the better team. It was good seeing a lot of rotation being made in the starting lineup, with Kepa playing his first game in this match. Then our last game for September was against Newcastle at St James's Park, which is the stadium Arsenal historically performed terribly at. And it seemed as though we were getting ready to see the same old script, with Nick Voltemade scoring the first goal of this match after Gabriel fell to the floor from the tiniest bit of contact. Thankfully, Mikel Merino was subbed on and scored the equalizer, and Gabriel made up for this defensive error by scoring Arsenal the winner. With this being Arsenal's last game of September, Arsenal had won 4 of their last 5 games during this month and sat second on the Premier League. Liverpool were 2 points ahead after losing their first game of the season against Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace was sitting third.
And to the rest of you, the non-believers, the underachievers, the tweet and deleters, you guys make me sick to my stomach, fam. Honestly, if you guys want to look in my eyes, you guys want to do something? You guys, that's what I thought. No, that's what I thought.
This month was absolutely sensational. Bitcoin hit a record high of $126,000, and this wasn't the only thing that was reaching new heights. Arsenal started off the month with a 2-0 win against Olympiacos on the 1st of October. In this game, Martinelli started right wing, probably to manage Saka's minutes, and Martinelli ended up scoring. Eventually, Saka came off the bench to make it 2-0 to seal the victory. Next, Arsenal would play against West Ham and win 2-0 on the 4th of October, with goals from Declan Rice against his old team and Saka scoring a penalty. We then had another international break where, thankfully, all of our players returned fit, and on the 18th of October, Arsenal played against Fulham and won 1-0 with a goal from Leandro Trossard, which was weirdly assisted by Gabriel. During this time period, Piero Hincapié had been out for about a month with groin problems, so the left-back position was mostly being filled by either Miles Lewis-Skelly or Riccardo Calafiori. Arsenal's next match was in the Champions League for the Haram Derby against Diego Simeone on the 21st of October. But this was no derby. This was an exhibition, as Arsenal completely dismantled Atletico Madrid 4-0 at the Emirates. We had goals from Gabriel starting us out, followed by his Brazilian brother Martinelli, and Gyökeres getting a double to finish off Atletico Madrid. Arsenal's final Premier League match for the month was against Crystal Palace on the 26th of October, and Arsenal won 1-0 with Eze scoring his first Premier League goal against his old team. During this game, we also got Piero Hincapié returning for an 8-minute cameo after his injury. That was Arsenal's final Premier League match for October, but Arsenal's actual final match for October was against Brighton and Hove Albion on the 29th. Arsenal won this game 2-0 to see them proceed to the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. The goals came from Ethan Nwaneri to start us out. Ethan Nwaneri? Ethan Nwaneri. When was the last time I heard of Ethan Nwaneri? Yeah, so Ethan Nwaneri started us out with the goals and Saka scored to see us out in this tie. I liked this game in particular because Arteta used a completely different starting 11. You could call it the B team bar Eze, and we still managed to win this game with a completely rotated squad. We still managed to win with our B team. He even started the 17-year-old Andre Harriman Anus in this game, as well as Max Dauman on right winger. Arsenal went the whole of October without conceding a single goal, and there were debates being had to see if this Arsenal defense could break Jose Mourinho's record. Arsenal ended October at first place with 22 points, with Bournemouth second, as well as Spurs and Sunderland with equal points sitting at third and fourth. But wait, what happened to Liverpool? Wait, why are they seventh? Why are Liverpool CR7? After spending £400 million to sign superstars such as Isak and Wirtz and snatching Ekitike away from Newcastle, everybody expected Liverpool to dominate this league. But now they're sitting at 7th? So here's what happened. Here's how Liverpool ended up at 7th at the end of October. They completely lost all of their games in the Premier League. Everyone was clowning Wirtz. Ekitike was in great form until Isak came back just to get injured again, and the Reds found themselves at 7th place with a 100% losing record under Arne's slot for this month. But hey, at least Ekitike was balling out. So this glorious month ended with my team Arsenal conceding 0 goals, being at the top of the Premier League and sitting at 4th or tied 1st in the Champions League phase.
Take me back to November. Take me back to November. I want a shirt to the winter, cold water. You take me back to November. What's up? Can we go back to November? Yeah. Take me back to November.
November began with Arsenal playing Burnley and beating them in a routine 2-0 win at Turf Moor on the 1st of November. We had Victor Gyökeres scoring his 4th Premier League goal during this match and Declan Rice scoring his 2nd. Arteta confirmed after the match that Havertz, Odegaard and Madueke would be returning soon from injury, but unfortunately Victor Gyökeres picked up a hamstring injury during this match, which would see him missing the whole of November. And with no Havertz, no Gyökeres and no Jesus, who would step up to be our striker?
And I turn a 6 upside down, it's a 9 now. Yeah.
The month of November would be dominated by Mikel Merino, who would get his first start as the striker against Slavia Prague in the Champions League on the 4th of November. Mikel Merino would score a brace in this game, with Saka getting himself on the score sheet as well to see Arsenal comfortably win this game 3-0, making it our 8th consecutive clean sheet victory. Max Dauman also came off the bench during this game to become the youngest ever player to feature in the Champions League at the age of 15 and 308 days. On the 8th of November, Arsenal faced Granit Xhaka's Sunderland in a cagey fixture at the Stadium of Light. Former Arsenal Academy player Dan Ballard scored to give Sunderland the lead until Saka scored the equaliser, and Trossard scored to give Arsenal a second to give us the lead, and the fixture seemed all but done until the last minute when Brian Brobby scored to make it 2-2, ending Arsenal's 10-game winning streak. We then had an international break from the 10th to the 18th of November, and after the international break, we had a North London derby on the 23rd of November. Tottenham fans hate hearing about the 23rd of November. The 23rd of November is a dark day for Spurs fans worldwide. This day made Eze the most hated Arsenal player that is currently playing. To be honest, they'll never hate anyone more than Sol Campbell, but within this current Arsenal squad, Eze became the most hated player because of the 23rd of November. The game started with Trossard scoring the first, then Eze scored to make it 2-0, then Eze scored again to make it 3-0, then Richarlison scored a consolation goal, then Eze finished Spurs off with a hat-trick, making it 4-1 and laughing at Tottenham. Literally laughing at the team he could have joined. Eze played this game like he had a personal vendetta, a personal hatred for Spurs, and as an Arsenal fan, this made me love Eze that little bit more. Next, Arsenal had a massive Champions League match against Vincent Kompany's Bayern Munich. Everyone viewed Arsenal as the underdogs for this fixture because they believed they would see a repeat of the 10-2 which Wenger suffered back in his day. Or everyone believed they would see a battering, in a similar manner. But people forget that 2015 Arsenal is not the same as 2025 Arsenal. And with that being said, Arsenal comfortably beat Bayern 3-1 at the Emirates on the 26th of November with goals from Jurrien Timber, Noni Madueke and Martinelli to finish off Bayern. Bayern scored through the 17-year-old Lennart Karl, and this was my first time watching him play, and I must say he truly is a sensational talent. Trossard did suffer a bit of an injury in the first half of this game and was replaced by Madueke. Gyökeres is still injured, and Odegaard got a few minutes off the bench after returning from his injury. Our last game for November was against Chelsea, where we drew 1-1. Chelsea scored through Chalobah and Arsenal scored through Mikel Merino. The funny thing about this match is that if you ask any Chelsea fan about this game, they will tell you they won, because Moises Caicedo got sent off in the 38th minute, forcing the Blues to see out the entire match with 10 men. From an Arsenal perspective, it was extremely annoying to not be able to beat this heavily weakened Chelsea team. But from Chelsea's perspective, they use this as evidence that they were now a big team. They also use this as evidence that Maresca is now serious and that they were especially proud of not losing to Arsenal. So congratulations to Chelsea. They're the only team in the history of football to ever win a game 1-1. Before we close out November, I just want to mention that Mikel Merino had been playing exceptionally well as a fill-in striker during this month. He started 5 matches as striker, getting 5 GA with 3 goals and 2 assists. And that's a decent return if you ask me. That's decent form. I mean, guys, are we really sure that Mikel Merino is a midfielder? With Chelsea being our last game of November, Arsenal sat first 5 points ahead of Man City, with Chelsea 1 point behind them at third. And in the Champions League, Arsenal remained as the only team with a perfect winning record, seeing them end November in first place ahead of PSG.
If you grab me, I'ma bite you. I swear to God, if you grab me, I'ma bite the f out you. You gonna let me go? I'm a dog. People don't understand what I meant by fighting to survive. I'm fighting like my life on the line. Don't grab me and think, oh, you stronger than me. You finna flip me. Let me go. No, let me go. Come here.
December was a decent month for Arsenal. The football was atrocious, but I mean it was a decent month. And we started out December by beating Brentford on the 3rd, 2-0 at the Emirates. We had goals from Mikel Merino, who then went on to assist Bukayo Saka to make it 2-0. This raises Mikel Merino's form to 7 GA in 6 matches playing as striker. This game unfortunately saw Mosquera leave the pitch with an injury, but the positive was seeing Gyökeres return from injury with a little cameo. This game also saw Odegaard getting his first start for Arsenal since West Ham way back in the beginning of October. Arsenal then faced Unai Emery's Aston Villa on the 6th of December and lost 2-1. This was Arsenal's second loss of the season so far. Eze didn't track the run of Matty Cash, which led to the first Aston Villa goal. Arteta did not forget this crime, and because of this, he ended up getting exiled. Trossard scored the equalizer, but Arsenal ended up losing in the last minute due to a goal from Emiliano Buendia. Losing last minute hurts, but hey, we'll take our L and move on. But hold up, in our defense, Gabriel and Saliba were not in the squad at all because Arteta needed to give those guys some rest. I actually forgot to mention that Gabriel was injured at this point, so the last 5 matches actually featured a completely different back line. It was also nice to see Gyökeres getting some minutes coming off the bench, easing him back into the squad after his injury. Next, Arsenal played Club Brugge away in the Champions League and comfortably won this game 3-0 on the 10th of December. We saw 2 goals from Madman Madueke, who I initially doubted, but he's growing into the team, and 1 goal from Martinelli. On the 13th of December, we saw peak haram ball, with Arsenal beating Wolves without scoring a single goal. We saw own goals from Sam Johnston and Yerson Mosquera, aka the gay Mosquera, who grabbed Jesus' ass unprovoked that one time. This match was absolutely disgusting. It was probably the worst Arsenal performance I had seen this season so far, because we literally struggled to beat the last place team in the league. This match was horrendous, but I'll take those 3 points. Next, Arsenal beat Everton 1-0 through a Victor Gyökeres penalty on the 20th of December. This match was another haram defensive performance from Arsenal to protect that 1-0 lead, but yes, we will gratefully and happily take all 3 of those points. Arsenal then played the Carabao Cup semi-final against Crystal Palace. Lacroix scored an own goal for Arsenal and Mark Guehi equalized to take the game to penalties. Arsenal won the game 9-8 on penalties, with Saliba scoring our last penalty and Lacroix missing his. This was another awful performance from Arsenal, but hey, I'm happy we made it into the semis. On the 27th of December, Arsenal beat Brighton 2-1 with goals from Martin Odegaard and another own goal. We have now had 4 goals coming from an own goal for us in our last 4 games at this point. The football is looking shaky, but we are still getting the 3 points. And fun fact, that was Odegaard's first Premier League goal for the season. Also, Gabriel made an appearance coming off the bench in this game, which was good to see him coming back from injury. Our last game of 2025 was against Aston Villa at the Emirates, and Arsenal absolutely obliterated Unai Emery 4-1. Gabriel scored to make it 1-0, then Zubimendi got on the score sheet to make it a second, but Trossard wanted to get in on the fun, making it 3-0, and Gabriel Jesus, the man who recovered from 2 ACL injuries, came off the bench and scored his first goal of the season to make it 4-0 until Watkins got, just a little consolation goal, making it 4-1. But who cares about that consolation goal? Arsenal obliterated this Aston Villa team. But my biggest takeaway from this game is this: Unai Emery is a sore loser. I don't know if you guys saw the post-match interview, but I'm going to show you guys a clip of this post-match interview. I have to watermark it to avoid copyright, so please forgive me for that, guys. But the reporter literally asks him, why didn't you shake hands with Mikel Arteta at full time? And he gives this weird ass response, and I'm going to show you guys even more clips to give you more context.
Last question then, if you can clear this up for us, what happened at full time? Because you seemed to go down the tunnel very quickly and didn't shake hands with Mikel Arteta. What happened there, Unai?
Yes, I was waiting for him, but he was with his coaches.
As you guys could see right there, this man Unai Emery didn't even wait 10 seconds for Mikel Arteta to finish dapping up his boys after a massive win in the title race, just so that he could shake his hands. It was 10 seconds. My guy is like, oh no man, I couldn't just stand there and wait. It was just 10 seconds. What happens next is the reporter says to him, oh, so you must be upset with Arteta, and just look at how he double backs on all his statements and then says, oh no, I'm not upset, I'm so happy.
Okay, but so you sound like you're upset with him for not shaking hands. Sorry.
No. I am so happy. Okay, even losing today, overall I am so happy how we are doing the way and as well with everything happened. Congratulations, Arsenal.
And so no big issue.
Not for me.
All done.
Not for me, but I can't wait because it was cold. I can't wait because it was cold.
I can't wait because it was cold.
Oh no, I am so happy, guys. I'm so happy. How can you be happy that you got spanked 4-1 at the Emirates, bro? These used to be your stomping grounds, and the new guy who replaced you just spanked you in front of everyone who used to rock with you, bro. And we all know when it comes to Aston Villa and Arsenal, everything is just personal, because you guys prevented us from winning the league back in 2023-24? If we didn't lose to Aston Villa that time, we would have won the league, and you guys took that away from us. So you know it's personal. You know the beef is personal. You and Emi Martinez, we all know that you guys both despise Arsenal. So just admit, bro, you were touched, you were rattled, you could not believe that you were obliterated at the Emirates. Just admit it. Now my guy wants to say, oh no, I couldn't wait, it was so cold. Bro, really? But anyway, guys, massive 3 points in the bag. I absolutely love how Gabriel was trolling Amadou Onana. My name's not even Andre, bruv. With the 3 points in the pocket. I love the fact that our midfield is literally Real Sociedad's midfield who were playing that game. I love the fact that Jesus came off the bench and he scored a goal with, what was that, his second touch? I think it was his second touch of the game. Gabriel Jesus scored. Everything about that match was sensational. Hey guys, sorry for the bad audio. I forgot to add this at the end of December. Arsenal basically ended 2025 after match week 15 at the top of the Premier League table, 2 points ahead of Man City. Liverpool, at least they're a top 10 team, 0 goal difference, but they're a top 10 team. Spurs are at 11th. Should I even speak about these guys? Are they even relevant? I mean, they're damn near more than 10 points away from Arsenal. But yeah, so the top three was looking really tense because Villa were 3 points behind us. But yeah, Arsenal, Man City, Villa, 2 points away from City at the end of 2025. And in the Champions League, I am sorry this picture is outrageously blurry, but yeah, Arsenal ended off 2025 at the top of the league format with 18 points. That's about 3 points ahead of Bayern Munich. Man City are the only team who join us in the top 8 with, Liverpool, Tottenham, Newcastle and Chelsea. Yeah, they're in the knockout playoff, they're in the knockout playoff section of the Champions League. But yep, top of UCL by 3 points, top of Premier League by 2 points. Just wanted to add that before we move into 2026. Thank you for your understanding.
Y'all trying to kill me! You killing me, man! This is not about music!
January was a month where Arsenal performed to a high standard. There were some disappointments, but still a relatively good month. Zoran Mamdani became the mayor of New York and he is a massive Arsenal fan. The United States confiscated Venezuela's President Maduro for a completely non-oil related reason. And the Department of Justice had released 3 million pages of the Epstein files. It's crazy that all of this happened in January. But to get to Arsenal's January, we started out with a difficult 3-2 win against Bournemouth on the 3rd of January. Gabriel assisted Evan Nielsen for the first goal, but eventually he got his redemption by scoring a header. And Declan Rice scored not once, but twice to ensure that Arsenal would win this game. Bournemouth also got a goal from this youngster named Eli Junior Krupi, who is genuinely a phenomenal young talent. Next, Arsenal faced Liverpool in a snooze-fest 0-0 match on the 8th of January. Arsenal really should have won this game because Liverpool were in their worst form ever, and this match quite literally gave us nothing. All we did was lose 2 points and lose Hincapié through injury. This match was just a waste in every sense of the word. On Sunday the 11th of January, we had some FA Cup action with Arsenal beating Portsmouth 4-1. Portsmouth got their first goal 3 minutes into the match and they scored the equalizer via own goal, making it 1-1. Then Martinelli scored a first, but clearly he hates Portsmouth because he scored a brace, but he wasn't finished yet because he got himself a third to get himself a hat-trick. I just love seeing the squad depth in this game with the heavy rotation and Arteta giving Norgard a try in the centre-back position. We're not yet back in the Premier League because at this point we are playing the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on the 14th of January. Arsenal won this game 3-2, but this match was extremely annoying to watch. We had taken the lead with 2 goals from Ben White and Victor Gyökeres to give us a comfortable advantage against LinkedIn Liam until Chelsea subbed on Garnacho, who made it 2-1. Thank God Zubimendi scored to make it 3-1, but in the 83rd minute, Garnacho scored again to make it 3-2. Yes, eventually Arsenal won the game, but it was anything but comfortable. And how could we let Garnacho score a brace against us? How disgusting. On the 17th of January, we returned to the Premier League to face Sean Dyche's Nottingham Forest, who was sitting 17th, but somehow Arsenal failed to win this game and it ended as a 0-0 draw. Usually I would be upset about us dropping points in matches like this because Nottingham Forest were literally sitting 17th and Liverpool were in the worst form of their lives. We should have won these 2 games. But with this Nottingham Forest match, I wasn't really that disappointed because Man City lost to Man United 2-0. So this draw gave us a 1-point advantage. A 3-point advantage would have been nice, but I'll take every point we can get. Now we are in the Champions League and Arsenal are facing Inter Milan at the Giuseppe Meazza on the 20th of January. This was the last big team we would be facing in the Champions League and we won this game 3-1. I know the scoreline compliments Arsenal, but in all honesty, this game was anything but easy. Gabriel Jesus scored the first goal with Inter equalizing to make it 1-1. But my guy Gabriel Jesus struck again in the first half to make it 2-1 at half time. I swear Jesus turns into R9 when he's playing in the Champions League. Arsenal basically held on to this 2-1 lead until the 84th minute where Viktor Gyökeres scored to make it 3-1 and to solidify this win. Now we have to talk about this match which I absolutely hated, which was Man United against Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium on the 25th of January. Arsenal lost this game 3-2 with both of our goals coming from a Lisandro Martinez own goal and a Mikel Merino goal. And Man United scored in the last minute through Cunha to ensure they snatched all 3 points. I hate Man United, but the way Carrick has transformed this team is impressive. Let's just admit it, guys, it has been impressive. This made it our 3rd loss in all competitions this season. Our last match in the Champions League was against Kairat Almaty on the 28th of January, and Arsenal won this game 3-2. I'll be honest, guys, I didn't actually watch this game, so I don't know what I missed. I can tell you that I like that the squad was completely rotated, and I'm a huge fan of, Arteta utilizing the squad depth. I can also tell you that we had goals from Viktor Gyökeres to start us out, Kai Havertz getting us a 2nd, and Martinelli making it a 3rd. But other than that, apologies, lads, I didn't actually watch this game. I don't know what I missed out on. Our final Premier League match was against Leeds at Ellen Road on the 31st of January, where Arsenal annihilated Leeds 4-0 comfortably. We had Zubimendi scoring the first goal, Madueke scoring the 2nd, which was actually his first ever Premier League goal from Arsenal, coming directly from a corner kick. Viktor Gyökeres made it a 3rd and Gabriel Jesus made it a 4th to see out this match. The only 2 comfortable games we had this January were against Leeds and Portsmouth. The rest, we genuinely had to fight to get a result. And with that being said, Arsenal ended January at 1st place, 6 points ahead of Man City, and Arsenal topped the league phase of the Champions League by getting 24 points out of a possible 24, winning all 8 of their league phase games. But this only covers the stuff which was happening on the pitch. Now we need to talk about the events which occurred off the pitch. I'm talking about the transfer window. In January, Arsenal only loaned out Ethan Nwaneri. We didn't recruit any new players, and I guess this made sense because we pretty much had 4 players who can play attacking midfielder, including Nwaneri. So loaning him out to Marseille, I guess it's a good move because he would get some minutes. I'm happy he linked up with Aubameyang, but I'm not the biggest fan that Nwaneri was going to be joining Mason Greenwood. But regarding other teams, Antoine Semenyo went from Bournemouth to Man City for £64 million. Jurgen Strand Larsen went from Wolves to Crystal Palace for £43 million. Ademola Lookman went from Atalanta to Atletico Madrid for about 35 million euros. Brennan Johnson went from Spurs to Crystal Palace for 35 million pounds, which was a step up in my opinion. Conor Gallagher went from Atletico Madrid to Tottenham, which was a step down in my opinion, for 34.6 million pounds. And Mark Gahey went from Crystal Palace to Man City for 20 million pounds. What a steal! Tottenham somehow opted to make themselves weaker, and Man City made themselves significantly, and I might even say ridiculously stronger, by recruiting the most in-form winger in the Prem, as well as one of the best centre-backs to help them in this title charge. This is the type of greed they talk about in the Bible. These dudes, Man City, went out and they took the best winger in Semenyo and the best defender they could find in Gahey. And now they were ready. After this January transfer window, Man City were ready to come against Arsenal. Pause.
Okay. Yep, this is... Okay.
February was a month where Arsenal performed to a mixed standard. There were some massive highs and some extremely frustrating moments, but overall, it was still a positive month. In the month of February, Kendrick Lamar won 5 Grammys for songs off his GNX album, and you guys remember how he completely destroyed Drake with his Not Like Us record. And the Arsenal women won the FIFA Women's Champions Cup, which I think is like the Club World Cup for women, which is really cool. But to get to the men's team, to get to the Gunners, Arsenal's February started on the 3rd with the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final against Chelsea at the Emirates. And we won 1-0 to go through 4-2 on aggregate. This for me personally was another boring match to watch. Chelsea had nothing to lose and Arsenal had everything to protect, and it showed in the way we played. We sat back deep, we barely had 5 shots the entire game, and Chelsea looked like the more dangerous team for a long stretch, which is embarrassing to say. But the moment of the night was Kai Havertz coming off the bench, and in the 97th minute, he latched onto a Declan Rice cross, dribbled around Robert Sanchez and rolled it into an empty net. It was absolutely poetic. Arsenal booked their place in the Carabao Cup final for the first time since 2018 thanks to that late Kai Havertz winner. We're going to Wembley, boys, and we get to face either Man City or Newcastle. Next up, on the 7th of February, we had a Premier League match at the Emirates against Sunderland, and Arsenal won this one 3-0. With this result, we moved 9 points clear at the top of the table, and Zubimendi, this man is genuinely growing into something special. He broke the deadlock right before half time. Then Gyökeres came off the bench and scored our second by smashing it home from a Havertz pass before grabbing himself a third in injury time, sliding in on the break from a Martinelli pass. 6 of Gyökeres' 8 Premier League goals this season have come from newly promoted sides, which is something his critics won't let go of. But in 2026, this man is genuinely on fire. On the 12th of February, we went to Brentford and we drew 1-1 in what was a frustrating evening. Madueke gave us the lead with a header and we were feeling comfortable, but then Brentford did what Brentford do. That Lewis Potter guy netted with a header from a long throw situation to equalize with around 20 minutes left. The game had late drama on both sides, but neither team could find a winner. Also worth noting that Saliba, Havertz and Marino were all unavailable through injury for this game, which explains a lot about why we looked so shaky. On the 15th of February, we had FA Cup action with Arsenal absolutely demolishing League One side Wigan 4-0 at the Emirates. The incredible thing about this game is that Arsenal scored all 4 goals in the first 27 minutes. Madueke grabbed the first goal, then Martinelli doubled it to make it 2, Jack Hunt put it in his own net for an own goal to make it 3, then Gabriel Jesus, my Brazilian GOAT, composed himself to make it 4. This was the kind of clinical start we all dream of. Also worth noting that a 16-year-old Marley Salmon came off the bench to make his senior debut in this game, and with this routine win, we're now in the FA Cup round of 16 and the quadruple dream became alive. Now on the 18th of February, we went against Wolves, lost place Wolves, and somehow managed to drop 2 points. Saka scored in the 5th minute and Hinkapie got his first ever goal for the club just after the hour mark to make it 2-0. That should have been game over. Instead, Hugo Bueno pulled one back on us with his first ever Premier League goal, and then this debutant named Tom Edozie popped up in the last minutes to equalize. 2 points were dropped against the bottom of the table team Wolves. It was inexcusable. And now Man City were probably really happy to see this draw. But honestly guys, how did we fumble a 2-0 lead and draw this game? This should have been a W. Now let's talk about the 22nd of February. How I love the 22nd of February. It was a North London derby away at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium where Arsenal absolutely put on a show, winning 4-1.
It's happened again. It's happened again. You know the rest.
This was proper football. Eze opened the scoring with a swivel and a finish in the 32nd minute, and I swear this man hates Tottenham so much. After that, Randall Kolomwani equalized 2 minutes later, which gave, Spurs fans, a moment of hope that died quickly. Gyökeres came out in the second half and then he blasted in a beauty from the edge of the box to restore the lead. Then Eze got his second to make it 3 and Gyökeres sealed it in injury time, making it 4-1. Eze got a brace and this man is the Grim Reaper of Tottenham. As a matter of fact, this dude stat padded against Spurs. He ended the season with 7 goals in the Premier League and 5 of them came against Spurs. Different manager, same old Tottenham. I feel for the Spurs fans who had to watch their team lose essentially 8-2 over 2 North London derbies. Arsenal ended February in first place in the Premier League with a 5-point lead over Man City. We were through to the Carabao Cup final, through to the FA Cup round of 16 and still in the Champions League. The quadruple is genuinely on the table and February's biggest lesson is this. When Arsenal turn up, they are genuinely unstoppable against Wigan, against Spurs. But we cannot be dropping points against last place teams like Wolves. We need consistency going into March. March was a wild month for Arsenal. We got some massive results, some absolutely unbelievable moments, some haram football, and then a gut punch right at the end of the month. that, fans like me, we're still not over it. We are still not over what happened at the end of March, but I'm going to tell you guys about that in a moment. The only major world events I could think of that were taking place was that one country in the Middle East, the Star of David country. They attacked Iran, and Iran attacked them back, but somehow Iran are the aggressors according to Donald Trump. But hey, I'm not a political expert. The only thing I know is football. So let's talk about football. On the 1st of March, Arsenal hosted Chelsea at the Emirates and we won 2-1. But Chelsea finished this game with 10 men again. Saliba opened the scoring with a header from a Saka corner, only for Hincapie to inadvertently put the ball through his own net just before half-time. I can't believe we conceded from an own goal for once this season. But Timber popped up again from another corner to restore our lead. Also, Pedro Neto got himself sent off with 20 minutes left after picking up 2 yellows. This was Arsenal's 15th and 16th corner goals of the season, which matched the record for the most corner goals in a single Premier League campaign. We are genuinely breaking records from set pieces this season. On the 4th of March, we went to Brighton and we won 1-0 through a Bukayo Saka goal that looked outrageous. Like, how did he sneak it in through Verbruggen's legs from there? This was also Saka's 300th first-team appearance for Arsenal. And we didn't really play well in this game. Brighton dominated for long stretches, but hey, these boys dug out a win, and 3 points is 3 points, a win is a win. Next up was the FA Cup 5th round away to League One side Mansfield Town on the 7th of March, and this was genuinely scary at times. Madueke opened up the scoring with a left-footed banger that was assisted by Martinelli, but Mansfield equalized by capitalizing on a mistake from the young Marley Salmon. Thankfully, Eze came off the bench and smashed one into the top corner to send us through 2-1, and that goal was another banger. Arteta started 2 16-year-olds in this game with Marley Salmon and Max Dauman, who became the youngest ever FA Cup player, and Arsenal secured a quarter-final fixture in the FA Cup. On the 11th of March, we went to Germany for the first leg of our Champions League round of 16 tie against Bayer Leverkusen, and we drew that 1-1. This was honestly another poor performance. We only had 2 shots on target the entire game. Andrich scored right at the start of the second half from a corner from all things, breaking our run of never trailing in this season's competition, but Kai Havertz came on as a substitute against his former club, won a penalty and converted that penalty in the 89th minute to rescue the draw. Thank God Havertz saved us from embarrassment. Also, I wanted to mention that Chelsea lost 5-2 against PSG and Man City lost 3-0 to Real Madrid. I watched portions of that Man City Real Madrid game and Federico Valverde genuinely had the game of his life. On the 14th of March, we hosted Everton, and this was genuinely one of my favorite games of this season. You guys are gonna find out why this was one of my favorites. We dominated for large stretches, but we couldn't break Everton down until the dying minutes. The only parts of this match which matter are from the 85th minute onwards. 16-year-old Max Dauman came off the bench, crossed it into a dangerous area to come off Hincapie and set up Gyökeres for the opener in the 89th minute. Then Max Dauman, after contributing to the creation of the first goal, got himself a goal in stoppage time to become the youngest ever goal scorer in the Premier League at age 16 years and 73 days old, breaking a record that stood for over 20 years. Absolutely surreal stuff, and the kid hasn't started a Premier League game yet. The future is genuinely looking bright for him and for Arsenal. 3 days later, on the 17th of March, we hosted Leverkusen in the second leg of the Champions League, and we dominated them to win 2-0 and to go through 3-1 on aggregate. Eze scored an absolute rocket from 20 yards, which was his first ever Champions League goal, and Declan Rice added a second just after the hour mark with a low-driven finish. This was Arsenal at our most dominant. With this win, we are now into the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the 3rd season running, and we're going to be facing Sporting Lisbon in April, who somehow beat Bodo Glimt 5-0 after losing their first leg 3-0 to Bodo. PSG also humbled Chelsea 3-0, and let's not talk about Newcastle, guys, can we please not talk about what happened to Newcastle? Our final match for March was on the 22nd, where we went to Wembley for the Carabao Cup final against Man City, and I'm still sick about this one. We started out the brighter team and Gyökeres was causing a couple of problems, and then disaster struck. Kepa, playing instead of Raya, fumbled a routine cross from Ryan Cherky, and Nico O'Reilly nodded home the first goal. Then 4 minutes later, Nico O'Reilly headed in another after being completely left unmarked. We lost this game 2-0 and Turkey was juggling the ball to show us that he doesn't rate Arsenal. Guardiola won his 5th League Cup as a manager, the most of any manager ever in the competition, and everything about this match was just awful. The quadruple dream was now just a delusion. But some Arsenal fans were convinced that we could still do a treble. Everyone spoke about how this match gave Man City the psychological edge, and the entire narrative from this point onwards was that Arsenal were going to bottle the league for a 4th time in a row. And with that tragic loss against Man City in the Carabao Cup, Arsenal ended March 1st in the Premier League with a 9-point lead. Somehow Spurs are 1 point above relegation in this month. We are through to the Champions League quarterfinals, through to the FA Cup quarterfinals, but officially out of the Carabao Cup as runners-up. March gave us history with Max Daumann, brilliance from Eze and Rice in Europe, but also heartbreak at Wembley. It was a bittersweet month, but there are bigger prizes that are still up for grabs.
I thought it was over! Please God, no, again! Please God! No! Wait! I thought it was over!
Oh, no.
April was honestly one of the most emotionally exhausting months I've ever experienced as an Arsenal fan. If I sound weird, it's because I got sick while recording, so please bear with me, guys. I experienced hope and I experienced heartbreak, but this month was mostly heartbreak. The title race suddenly got terrifyingly close, and through it all, the Champions League dream stayed alive. In April, we saw the Artemis 2 space mission, which saw astronauts fly by the moon. There was also the US-Iran ceasefire, which got announced. But you know that Star of David country, they ended up striking Lebanon hours later, raising tensions and leading to the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. In April, we also saw the Michael movie came out, but I didn't watch it. I heard it did well though. Also, I started my new job. But anyway, let's get to the football. April started with the FA Cup quarterfinal against the championship side Southampton on the 4th. This was an absolute horror show. Ross Stewart opened the scoring for the Saints after Ben White misjudged a long ball. Gyökeres equalized midway through the second half after a lovely Gabriel Havertz combination, but their substitute Charles came up with the sucker punch winner with 5 minutes left to go to send us out of the FA Cup 2-1. Our quadruple dream, already cut down to a treble after the Carabao Cup final loss, was now down to a double. This was genuinely a brutal week to be an Arsenal fan because we were getting cooked on Twitter. And in both of these trophies where we got knocked out, Kepa was the starting goalkeeper. You can't convince me that Kepa isn't an agent. How is it possible that in the 2 games he started, we somehow got knocked out of both competitions? But thankfully, we bounced back almost immediately, traveling to Lisbon on the 7th of April for our first leg Champions League quarter-final match against Sporting. We won 1-0 thanks to a 91st minute Kai Havertz winner, combining with fellow substitute Martinelli in stoppage time. David Raya was excellent in this game and the football was garbage. Honestly, you only needed to watch this game from the 85th minute onwards. Max Daumann also became the youngest ever player to appear in a Champions League quarter-final at 16 years and 97 days old, beating the record previously held by Lamine Yamal. Also, heads up, you're going to be hearing me saying Max Daumann is the youngest player to do a lot of things this season. On the 11th of April, we hosted Bournemouth in the league and somehow lost 2-1. Somehow, we had ended up losing 3 games out of 4 in all competitions. Junior Krupi opened up the scoring for the Cherries after a deflection fell kindly to him. Gyökeres equalized from the penalty spot, but Alex Scott netted the winner with 15 minutes to go. This game was genuinely alarming. We had been 9 points clear and then suddenly the title race is now wide open, with City having 2 games in hands. There were no vibes around the club at this point. We had officially hit rock bottom. Even I believed we would be seeing the same old script play out again. Arsenal finishing second for a 4th time. Also, I felt like I just had to add this. Chelsea fans were celebrating losing 3-0 to Man City on the 12th of April. In hindsight, I bet those dudes thought they would at least get into Conference League, but nope. They celebrated watching their team lose 3-0 because they were happy to do anything to try prevent Arsenal from getting a trophy.
Go!
On the 15th of April, we were hosting Sporting for the second leg of the Champions League. We somehow escaped that game with a 0-0 draw and found a way to go through to the semi-finals 1-0 on aggregate. I don't even want to talk about this game or add anything more to it. All that mattered is that we just got into the semi-finals of the Champions League. Somehow, Atletico Madrid knocked out Barcelona, so we would be facing them in the semis. Then on the 19th of April, we went to the Etihad for what was genuinely a title decider and lost 2-1. Ryan Cherky opened up the scoring with a brilliant solo effort. I mean, you can hate the player, but you can't deny his talent. Havertz equalized after charging down a Donnarumma clearance, but Haaland, who hadn't scored in the league since February, popped up with the winner just after the hour mark. This loss cut our lead down to just 3 points, with City still having a game in hand. Up to this point in April, we had a sickening run of results. 3 defeats in 4 games across all competitions. Suddenly, we're staring down the barrel of blowing a title we had controlled for months. But thankfully, we steadied the ship on the 25th of April. We played at home to Newcastle, winning 1-0 through a banger from Eze in the 9th minute. It came from a clever corner routine that ended with him drilling it into the top corner. This was our 17th goal from a corner in the Premier League this season, breaking the all-time competition record. We genuinely needed this win to get our mojo back, and we're heading into the business end of the season. And to close out the month of April, we traveled to Spain on the 29th for the first leg of our Champions League semi-final against Atletico Madrid. And we drew this game 1-1, the Haram Derby, in a game that was decided by 2 penalties. Gyökeres opened up the scoring right before halftime after being fouled by David Hanko, but Atleti hit back through Julian Alvarez's spot kick after a Ben White handball was given following a lengthy VAR check. We even had a third penalty awarded for an Eze foul, which was overturned by VAR, which still annoys me thinking about it. This was a tight tie in the Haram Derby, but in my opinion, Arsenal took the advantage back home for the second leg. Because I was too busy being an Arsenal fan for this game, I missed out on the Bayern PSG game, which everyone was calling the greatest UCL match they had ever seen. Yes, I missed that amazing game to watch Arsenal and Atletico Madrid in a game which was decided by 2 penalties. If that is not peak haram, I don't know what is. Arsenal ended April still on top of the Premier League, but with our lead just cut down to 3 points over a rampant Man City who had 1 game in hand. We are still competing in the Champions League semi-finals, and Spurs found themselves in the relegation zone for the first time this season. The title race has suddenly gone from comfortable to terrifying, and May is going to be the biggest month of the season. Was the title going to go to Man City, who are chasing, or was it going to go to Arsenal for the first time in 22 years? May was the month where history was made. In May, Drake released his Iceman album as well as 2 other surprise albums. The Met Gala also happened, but I don't really care about that type of event. I don't even know what the purpose of the Met Gala is. Is it just for rich people to flex? There was also an outbreak of this hantavirus, but it was dealt with swiftly, and the World Cup was around the corner and tickets were literally selling for millions. But you don't care about all that, I don't care about all that, we only care about the Gunners. May started on the 2nd with Arsenal absolutely battering Fulham 3-0 at the Emirates. Gyökeres opened the scoring in the 8th minute, Saka doubled it in the 39th, and Gyökeres got his second of the night with a header from a Trossard cross right before half-time. This win pushed us 6 points clear at the top of the table. Then on the 5th of May, we hosted Atletico Madrid in the second leg of our Champions League semi-final and won 1-0 through a goal from Bukayo Saka right before half-time. This meant that we went through 2-1 on aggregate to reach our first Champions League final in 20 years, since that defeat to Barcelona in 2006. But that night, as the fans, we created an insane atmosphere. We made sure the players and everyone knew how much it meant for us to reach the final.
Atletico Madrid are actually building a wall on their goal line. This is Harrow ball at its purest, and at the other end, Arsenal have gone for the classic. Literally parking the bus.
We all know the Prem is the main mission, but getting to the UCL final was outrageous. On the 10th of May, we traveled to West Ham needing a result to keep the title charge on track. And we won 1-0 through a Leandro Trossard strike in the 83rd minute. West Ham nearly snatched a stoppage time equalizer through Callum Wilson, but it was ruled out by VAR due to a foul being committed on David Raya. You can clearly see the West Ham number 19 Pablo was holding Raya's arm, impeding him, and the goal was rightfully disallowed. This foul also gave us the iconic after review West Ham number 19 moment.
After review, West Ham at number 19 commits a foul on the goalkeeper. Final decision is direct free kick.
On the 18th of May, we hosted already relegated bottom of the table Burnley in our final home game of the season. And we won 1-0 through a Kai Havertz header from a Bukayo Saka corner. This was our 18th goal from a corner this season, which broke the all-time Premier League record. The football was garbage, but hey, 3 points, we'll take that. This win put us 5 points clear of City with 2 games left, meaning we just needed Man City to drop points to be crowned champions before our final game. And then, on the 19th of May, the moment 22 years in the making finally arrived. Man City drew 1-1 away at Bournemouth. Junior Krupi put the Cherries ahead before Erling Haaland equalized in stoppage time. But it wasn't enough, and that draw meant Arsenal were crowned Premier League champions with a game to spare. This ended our 22-year wait for the title, and this was our first title since the invincible season of 2003-04. I genuinely don't even have the words to describe how I felt when I found out that Arsenal were Premier League champions. Fans were flooding the streets outside of the Emirates, flares were everywhere, and every Arsenal fan in the world was relieved to finally win the Premier League after being runner-up for 3 seasons straight. Like, we three-peated going second place. With Arsenal winning the league, Arteta also became the first former Premier League player to win the title as a manager. Mikel Arteta, we trusted the process and you finally delivered. I am eternally grateful. We then went to Selhurst Park on the 24th of May for our final day fixture against Crystal Palace and won 2-1 in what was genuinely just a victory lap and trophy lift type of game. We didn't care how we played in this match, we were just waiting for the game to end so that we could see Arsenal lifting the trophy. Gabriel Jesus opened the scoring late in the first half after a deflected shot, and Madueke doubled it 3 minutes into the second half from yet another corner routine. This was our 19th corner goal this season before Jean-Philippe Mateta got a consolation goal for Palace late on. I like the fact that Arteta used a completely changed lineup with Kepa making his Premier League debut for Arsenal and Max Daumann becoming the youngest ever Premier League starter at 16 years and however so many days. The game ended with Martin Odegaard lifting the Premier League trophy at Selhurst Park, and I genuinely don't think I've ever felt happiness like that watching this club. This was my reaction to seeing Arsenal lift the Prem for the first time in 20 years.
Give him the trophy, man! I live to see this! For 22 years, I'm watching Arsenal win the league! Gathering dust, gathering dust. This season has lit the fuse. After 22 yes! Arsenal won the league!
No, but it's that deep,
I'm seeing this with my eyes. I'm seeing this with my eyes. Arsenal won the league. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Arsenal have won the league.
I don't feel like it.
Then on the 30th of May, we traveled to Budapest for the Champions League final against PSG, and this is where the fairy tale ended in heartbreak. Kai Havertz put us ahead after just 6 minutes with this insane finish, and this was my reaction.
See this again. Kai Havertz, what an error. Look at this. Near post, left foot. Kai Havertz, he puts it in. Kai Havertz. Kai, it's not a pause, bro. It's gone to Havertz, man. Havertz, you've done it again. Oh my gosh. Kai Havertz, he's done it again. Kai Havertz, you've done it again. He's done.
We held that lead into halftime and genuinely looked like we were on course for the double. That was until Ousmane Dembele equalized from the penalty spot in the 65th minute after Mosquera fouled Kvaratskhelia. Hey guys, sorry for the brief interruption. I only realized this in post. Well, I forgot about it, but then when I was watching the highlights, I just remembered. Bro, Madueke was fouled and the ref just decided not to check the VAR. I have no idea why this ref just chose not to check the VAR at all. I don't know what he would lose. He stands nothing to lose by just checking VAR. As a matter of fact, the reffing throughout this game was really weird. For example, when Bukayo Saka wanted to take the corner kick and the ref blew the whistle before he could take the corner. I've never seen anything like that in football in my life. So I just wanted to mention that real quick, that I thought that the reffing throughout this game was just weird, like outrageously weird. Why didn't you just check the VAR for the Madueke challenge? I don't know why the ref said, I'm not gonna check. Just check, bro. You lose nothing by checking. Anyway, I just wanted to say that before I add more stuff to this video. The game was at 1-1. Neither team could find a winner throughout 90 minutes or extra time, so it went to penalties. Eze missed our first penalty, and I just don't even want to talk about his technique. Raya saved a penalty from Nuno Mendes to keep us level, but in the end, Gabriel, who had been so immense defensively throughout this entire game, blazed our 5th penalty over the bar, and PSG won the shootout 4-3 to retain the trophy. This was my reaction to that Gabriel penalty.
Champions of France remain the champions of Europe, and Arsenal.
Just a little criticism. I have no idea why Madueke was letting a defender take a penalty before him, because back at Chelsea he tried to fight Palmer and Jackson to take a penalty, but now at the highest stage in the UCL final, you don't want to take that penalty. You're going to make Gabriel take the pen before you. Come on now, man. But anyway, that's just my little bit of criticism. But who cares about that? We're Premier League champions. Arsenal ended May as Premier League champions for the first time in 22 years. We were Champions League runners-up, but we just lost to PSG on penalties. We took them all the way to penalties. I'm proud of that performance defensively. It's just a mascara mistake, and it is what it is. We trusted the process with Arteta, and it all worked out in us winning the Premier League. The next challenge for Arteta is to win the trophy that Wenger could not, and to solidify Arsenal as not just the best team in England, but the best team in the world by winning that UCL. Personally, I'm already looking forward to next season when we'll defend our Premier League crown. But for now, I just want to savor this moment. After 22 long years, we're finally champions again. It's about time.
So beautiful.
I just want to show this to you guys because I woke up and I had energy. This was my very first Arsenal jersey. It's probably fake. My dad bought it for us back in Zimbabwe. You can even see how this thing is printed. Look at how it's distressed. I don't want people saying, oh yeah, bro, no, you just bought a vintage kit, bro. Like, look at that. That's not even like an original Nike branding or whatever. But this was my first Arsenal kit. Robert Pires, bro. My first Arsenal jersey. When my dad bought this for us, when we were kids, he said we were going to grow into it, bro. That's how long I've been an Arsenal fan. Go search what season this is, and my pops bought it for me, bro. Do you see who that is? That's a poster of Per Mertesacker, bro. That's how long I've been an Arsenal fan, bruh. As you can see, these are match day guides. My family, some of my cousins stayed in the UK, and they would go and they would attend matches and all that type of stuff. Look at this, Arsenal versus Man City. What's the date? 31 December 2015. January 2016, Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez on the covers, bro. This is how long? Like 2015? 2015 was like, how long ago? That's like 11 years ago, bro. 11 years. Bro, do you guys even know who that is? Do you guys even know who Callum Chambers is, bro? Y'all don't know me, bro. Y'all don't know how long I've been a fan for. Look at this. Manuel Pellegrini. Some of y'all only became Man City fans when Guardiola was there. Some of y'all only became Man City fans when Guardiola was there, bruh. Not even in the Mancini era, in the Guardiola era. Look at this, bro. This is how long I've been an Arsenal fan, bruh. My gosh, bruh. Don't talk to me about this, bro. Don't talk to me about Arsenal, bruh. Y'all don't know what it's like to wait 22 years, bro. Yeah, y'all not like me. Salutations, fellow Premier League champion. If you made it this far into the video, it means you're interested in my journey as an Arsenal fan. I think when I edited this, I put like the snippets of me just talking, but I also wanted to have a section where I talk to the camera myself as an Arsenal fan, and I just talk about my journey and how long I've been a fan, If you guys are wondering why I have designer bags under my eyes, it's because I'm being overworked, alright? Capitalism is a terrible thing. But let's talk about my Arsenal journey. I was born in the year 2000. My dad's a massive Arsenal fan. The Invincible season was 2004, so I would have been, 4 years old? 4 years old when the Invincibles happened. I would be lying if I said I remember everybody was happy, but I mean, Invincible season happened. I know my dad was celebrating that. Then 2005, I think 2005, 6, or maybe it was 6, 7. Okay, I'm cutting that out. I'm not gonna cut that out. But one of those years, Thierry Henry was sold, and the Emirates Stadium was built. But I'm still a kid, I believe I was more invested in Dragon Ball Z and Bakugan at the time. I wasn't really into football, but I did know that I liked Arsenal. And my dad, he kept buying me those. He kept buying Arsenal jerseys for us. And, we were just indoctrinated to just love this North London team. Then we get to my primary school years, and this is where I started to really form my identity as an Arsenal fan, because those years were rough. This was probably, 2007 up until 2013. It would be seeing your team signing a defender like William Gallas and giving him the number 10 jersey after Dennis Bergkamp. Like, stuff like that. It would be seeing Jack Wilshere and Thomas Rosicky, players who are ballers,
constantly getting injured. You can even throw Aaron Ramsdale in there. I'm saying Aaron Ramsdale. Aaron Ramsey. During that time period, Arsenal was Brighton before Brighton was Brighton. All of our best players getting sold and sold for cheap prices. Gael Clichy, Samir Nasri, Cesc Fabregas getting sold. Adebayo, Bakary Sagna, so many players. Kolo Toure, he has a brother named Yaya Toure. We never signed him. Kolo Toure, Alex Song, all of our best players always just getting sold season after season after season. And then obviously we do have the one, Robin Van Persie. That one really hurt me. It still hurt me till this day. This is why I say Arsenal was Brighton before Brighton, because you'd lose your best striker in Robin Van Persie. You sell him to your rival Manchester United, and then you go and you recruit Olivier Giroud, who was an unproven French striker. And don't get me wrong, Olivier Giroud ended up becoming a really good striker at other teams, but he was not that at Arsenal. So that banter period, peak banter period, I don't know how Wenger was doing it, selling all of his best players. You know, he would sell Fabregas, and then he would, recruit a player like Mikel Arteta, and then we were supposed to get excited. No disrespect to my manager, but it's like we sold Fabregas and then we recruit Arteta. So that time period in my life, it was really difficult as an Arsenal fan. I was always getting bantered, always getting trolled for going something like 9 years without winning a trophy. But that was primary school, and wow, that Brighton era where we were just selling all of our best players, dude. I don't know how Wenger kept finishing in the top 4 with that squad. He kept selling and finishing top 4. I don't know how he did that. Then let's move on from 2013 up until, let's say, 2018. This period was actually a lot better, not trophies-wise. I mean, trophies-wise, yeah, because in 2013 we got Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez, and, they gave us 2 FA Cups. Shout out to those guys, man. Those were real marquee signings, and I miss how the transfer market used to be back in the day before Fabrizio. I actually stayed up until midnight watching deadline day. Arsenal hadn't signed anyone, and then boom, Mesut Ozil from Real Madrid. Insane. And I think that very same season or the season afterwards, we ended up winning the FA Cup, which was outrageous. And we got him from Real Madrid. That was a proper marquee signing. Nowadays, I don't know how to explain it. No disrespect to Victor Gyökeres, but you sign Victor Gyökeres and everyone doesn't say, "Oh my word, that was an amazing signing. That was a phenomenal signing." When we signed Ozil, everyone was like, "That was a phenomenal signing." When we signed Sanchez, everyone was like, "That was a phenomenal signing." So I liked that period. I liked the early 2010s. I don't know if that's accurate, but the 2013 period onwards where we started buying serious players. I loved that period because we got the Ozil, we got the Sanchez. The football was amazing, but we were still finishing top 4 until Unai Emery came in. Let's not talk about when Unai Emery came in, but yeah, Unai Emery came in. He tried his best. He got us to a Europa League final, and Eden Hazard happened, but yeah, at least we got to that final. He got us 5th place, and then in his second season, we just said, "Yo, man, you gotta go." And then Mikel Arteta pulled up. Also, Unai, shout out to you for signing Aubameyang. I really liked Aubameyang. I don't know if it was Unai or Wenger. Either or, shout out for Aubameyang. That was a good signing. That was a really good signing. The one thing I wish I could change about Arsenal is always buying Chelsea slop. I forgot to mention players like Petr Cech and all those guys back in the day. Why? You look back at it and you're like, why? Why are we signing these Chelsea players? We're still doing it till this day. Madueke Kepa. We're still doing it till this day. Havertz. But yeah, I mean, Arteta, we gave him a chance. We just invested in a young, unproven manager. He won us the Premier League. Can I complain? Is there anything to complain about? I don't have a UCL yet, but I have a Premier League. And Mikel Arteta did that for me. And I guess that's my journey as an Arsenal fan. I think the most painful part was that Brighton Arsenal period, that Brighton banter Arsenal period in primary school where Van Persie gets sold, Fabregas gets sold, Nasri gets sold, Toure gets sold, Adebayo gets sold. All your best players are just constantly getting sold. But through it all, I'm still here. Through finishing Through having top 4 as an achievement, I'm still here. Through celebrating FA Cups as the only trophy I could win, I'm still here, and I get to celebrate a Premier League as an Arsenal fan. What a privilege, man. Like, I wouldn't trade my story for anyone's. And yeah, I guess that's my journey. That's my journey as an Arsenal fan. And thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening to me. Hopefully you like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe if you're an Arsenal fan. But yeah, I'm really proud of this video, and I can't wait to upload it. I hope I don't look chopped. Please forgive me if this bag's under my eyes. But yeah, thanks, guys. That's my Arsenal journey. To be honest, I'm surprised if you guys are watching this far into the video. I greatly appreciate it, but this is just me talking about my challenges which I faced in making this video documentary. You know, it's over an hour long. It's technically a movie, but I just want to talk about the challenges which I faced, as well as criticisms which I have for myself in production of this video. I just want to get this out of the way. My biggest fear in making this video was that no one would watch it. And, you know, I spent over 3 months working on this video. Like, imagine spending over 3 months working on a video and it only gets 20 views. Like, I would genuinely crash out. I feel like I would quit YouTube if that ended up happening with this video. So I really hope this video does well. Also, I'm sorry if you guys are seeing gameplay footage. The animation budget ran out, man. I needed to get this documentary out. It's probably going to be out after the World Cup final. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, after working on this video for 3 months, I just hope that YouTube puts it in front of Arsenal fans. I hope it just gets recommended to Arsenal fans, and the right people find this video. I'm really proud of what I made, and I just want people to see it. If I get 20 views, at least 20 people saw it. But yeah, man, I mean, I did it for myself. I get that. Like, I did this for myself. That's why I dedicated so much time into editing this video. But at the same time, I would just love if more than 20 people saw this video. You know what I mean? I know that this video is over an hour long. I just want to share this criticism for myself, but I feel like I didn't go in depth enough with certain sections. Like, for example, I completely forgot about the Declan Rice saying it's not done in that match, and, you know, his smirk at the end of the PSG UCL final. You know, moments like that, little moments of drama throughout the season. Like, if you really evaluate this video, when I was talking about the transfer window section, which was about what, June up until September, that was like 20 minutes. There was a lot of meat to that. But now, month by month, it felt like I was just brushing over a lot of things. I was saying, oh yeah, Gyökeres scored, Arsenal won, there you go. And then I just show you like the clips of the goals and all of that. I didn't talk enough about whatever controversies were happening, what was controversial about that VAR decision. I just feel like I wasn't in depth enough. It felt like whenever I was talking about the football, I became less opinionated and more retelling the scoreline. The scoreline was 3-0. Saka scored. You know, I feel like that's not enough depth, and I just show you some B-roll of Saka scoring. So that's some personal criticism I have for myself in making this documentary. I feel like I should have just given more of an opinion. Maybe I should have been more in depth, but at the same time, the video is an hour long. I am talking about over like a year's worth of football, and it is an hour long. So I don't know. It's that trade-off between being in depth and also we need to just talk about all that mattered in this game was we won. Like, we don't need to go too in depth into that. We just won, and that's all that mattered. Another criticism I had was I failed to track the injuries which we were facing at different periods of the season. Like, I couldn't tell you that in the UCL final, oh, Mikel Merino just came back from injury. You know, that type of thing. I wish I could have just been tracking the injuries better. I tried using everything to track injuries using AI, which is another thing I'll talk about. Don't use AI when it's coming to research, because it fabricates a lot of information. But Transfermarkt, it only tells you the current injuries. Like right now, it'll list Ben White as injured, and that doesn't help. I wanted to know who was injured in Arsenal, you know, during August, during September, during November, and how long were they injured for. And it was just really difficult for me to find that information. That's why I never mentioned Max Daumann's injury, even though he was injured for, I think, 4 months of the year. I did mention Mikel Merino's injury, but I didn't mention when he came back into the squad. So stuff like that, it's another criticism I have for myself. A little bit of praise I want to give to myself is just, editing to avoid copyright. You can tell that a lot of the clips were super zoomed in. It would be ironic if the video does get copyright struck. I hope it doesn't. But yeah, man, I tried my best to finesse the visuals while I was narrating. So I tried to give you guys an audio visual experience. I didn't want to just use still pictures of, Saka shooting and then saying, yeah, Saka scored. I wanted to show you. So I had to edit every single clip in such a way that it does not get flagged for copyright. So I hope this video does not get copyright struck, but yeah, man, that's just me hoping. This was another challenge I faced in making this type of video. Dude, do not use AI for research. AI completely fabricated events and results. And that's all I can say. Don't use ChatGPT. Do not. I tried using it for the transfer figures. It was making up numbers. That's why with the Victor Gyökeres one, I think it said there was a bit of 65 million plus 15. It's very hard for me to verify that a bid like that actually went out. So please take that with a grain of salt. I know we signed the player. It doesn't matter in hindsight. But I'm trying to make a documentary and I want to present as much factual information as possible. But I can't do that if I'm getting poisoned information from the AI and I'm giving it to you guys. So I could not use AI at all. When it came to the matches and the events of the matches, sometimes it would say, oh yeah, Saka scored a header, but then it turns out it was Gyökeres who scored the header. So it would completely fabricate results. The only reliable source I used when it came to the match day information was transfermarkt.com. It would tell me the time the player scored, how the player scored, if it was a header from a corner. Transfermarkt just gave me all of that information. I could not use AI. I'm talking ChatGPT, I'm talking Claude, even Claude. It was just not reliable. A criticism I have for myself as well is I wish I could have used more motion graphics. I do understand that I was facing heavy time constraints and I literally have no animation budget, hence why you're seeing this gameplay footage. But motion graphics are really nice, like Tifo Football. I like how they animate their stuff. Intercept makes phenomenal videos. I would love to get After Effects to be able to use motion graphics like that because it looks professional, it looks stunning. I used a lot of B-roll, but motion graphics would just look so much better. I did have a brief Andrea Berta motion graphic, but yeah, time constraints just prevented me from diving deeper into the motion graphics of using motion graphics and making motion graphics for this video. Another challenge, because this is my first time ever making a 1-hour YouTube video, is balancing work, having a job and working on this documentary. Basically, I stopped watching series. I think Jujutsu Kaisen finished, JJK, and once JJK finished, I had nothing to watch. So that helped because I would go to work. At work, I would be doing my research in my free time or in my break, downloading some of the B-roll which I needed, and then when I would get back home, I would record my voiceover whenever I could. I would edit whenever I could, and that was just the balance. I had a lot of weekends where the whole weekend was just dedicated to editing. Like, the weekend was the only time I could edit because my work is so intense. I work in finance, man, and yeah, I'm just happy I was able to find the time to be able to make this. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm yapping a lot, but it's just something. Like, this is the end credits, bro. This is the end credits. You don't have to watch this. I'm just adding this because I want to talk about how difficult it is to make a 1-hour YouTube video. Speaking of how difficult it is to make a 1-hour YouTube video, I figured out you do it by making lots of 10-minute videos or lots of, like, to oversimplify what I'm saying, the video you're watching right now is a compilation of various 10-minute, 12-minute, 3-minute videos I stitched together throughout the months. That's literally it. So that introduction section, well, not the part where Arsenal won the league, but certain aspects of this video were recorded and rendered in like March, in like February as well, way back then. So I used all of that and I just stitched it together to make this 1-hour video. Well, 1 hour plus. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I don't know how long I'm gonna keep yapping for. But it's just something interesting. Like, you would think, well, maybe I'm dumb. I would think that if you're gonna make a 1-hour YouTube video, you do the whole thing in one day. You record all the audio in one day. But no, that's not the case. it actually takes months. It actually takes so much time to make a 1 hour video. Unless you're a full-time content creator, you can pump out videos like this every week or every month. I can't. I genuinely can't. My job is too demanding. So I know it's very late to be talking about Arsenal winning the Premier League, but as a content creator or someone who creates content, I'm just proud of myself for being able to prioritize making this project. Yeah, my English is correct. All right. Another constraint I faced was not having Adobe. I wish I had After Effects because I want to edit like Sunny V2 or Internet Anarchist. Like, you may not like them as content creators, but their editing is really good. It's on documentary level. Mine isn't on documentary level. As you could see, it's just a lot of B-roll. I don't have After Effects, but if I did have After Effects, I could edit like Intercept, like all these guys. Maybe I will pay for a subscription if my boss, if my job ends up paying me more. But for right now, I did the most that I could with CapCut. So please forgive me for that, brothers. But yeah, I just wanted to say, hey, I learned a lot. I've learned a lot making a 1 hour YouTube video. This is my first attempt at this. So I really wonder who is still here listening to me yap and just talk about how hard it was for me to make this video. But no matter what happens, no matter if this video gets 20 views or I wanted to say 20 million. I don't know if it will get 20 million. But if it gets 20 views or if it gets 100,000, I think this video has 100k views potential. I won't be mad if it if it just has more than 1,000, I'll be happy. I won't lie. But I spent 3 months on this, man. It should have more views, but nah, no matter what happens, this video is my magnum opus. This is the biggest project I've ever done on YouTube. Man, I'm just proud of me for making this video. I'm proud of being an Arsenal fan. I'm proud of being a Premier League champion. I've waited 22 years of my life for this moment. I dedicated this video to my team winning the Premier League after 22 years. This means so much to me. And I'm just so happy I get to share this joy and this emotion with everybody, man. Like, bro. Anyway, this is my magnum opus. It's a mini movie, bro. Like, I just dedicated this to the team I love. And you know what? Thank you for watching the end credits. Whoever you are, thank you. Like, bro, I know you don't have to be here, but thank you for watching these end credits, bro. Like, I am looking forward to this new season. I'm looking forward to making more Arsenal videos. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy to be an Arsenal fan. I'm so happy to be here, man. Yeah, okay, in typical YouTuber fashion, please leave a like on the video. It helps for the algorithm. Subscribe to me for more Arsenal videos. And let me know your Arsenal journey in the comments. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me know everything, man. I'm just proud of making this video. And, thanks for watching these end credits. Yeah, on to the next one. On to this new season. On to protecting the Premier League. Protecting our title and the Champions League. Let's give it another go. And with that being said, guys, like and subscribe, comment, hype, help a small creator, and yeah, from one Premier League champion to another, I hope you have an amazing day, champ. Peace.